We tested chicken from 11 major U.S. grocery chains: Walmart, Costco, Target, Aldi, Kroger, and more. 7 didn't hold up. Only 4 are actually worth buying. And the biggest problem isn't hidden bacteria. It's what's legally allowed on the label, and what that label leaves out. Here's what that actually means. Nobody broke a law. Not one brand on this list is operating illegally. That's what makes this worse than a recall. A recall gets fixed. This doesn't. You walk into the store for one simple thing: protein, something healthy for your family. Instead, you're standing in front of a wall of words: natural, farm fresh, no added hormones, with almost no way to know what any of it actually means, or what it's quietly leaving out. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for on the package itself. No lab, no app, just what's already printed in front of you. Worst first, best after. Let's start with number 7. Here's exactly what we're judging every brand against: 4 things, and you can check every one of them yourself. First, water chilling. If the word solution shows up anywhere in the ingredients, the bird was dropped into a communal water bath after slaughter, absorbed water in the process, and that water is now legally counted as part of the weight you're paying for. Second, muscle myopathy, the technical term for white striping and woody breast. White striping shows up as pale lines running through the meat. Woody breast makes the fillet feel unusually firm, almost rigid. Both are tissue damage patterns tied to birds bred to grow faster than their own muscles can properly develop. Third, the legal and regulatory record, actual documented history, not accusations. Price-fixing settlements, confirmed outbreaks, DOJ consent decrees, public record on file. And fourth, the gap between marketing and reality. Words like humane, natural, or premium, sitting on the front of a package with no independent certification anywhere behind them to actually back that claim up. For checks, keep them in mind because every single brand on this list gets measured against all 4. Number 7, great value. Walmart's house brand, and everything about it is built around a single goal: the lowest price on the shelf, full stop. That price shows up in the meat itself. Pull a breast fillet out of the bag and look closely. Pale, almost translucent flesh, thin white lines running through the muscle. That's white striping, a documented tissue damage pattern, and peer-reviewed research has confirmed it's now the norm across fast-growth commercial broilers, not the exception. On top of that, Great Value discloses nothing about its chilling method, its sourcing, or any independent testing behind the product. You're getting the lowest price on the shelf and almost no information about what that price actually bought you. Number 6, Tyson. If you've bought chicken in America, there's a good chance you've bought Tyson, one of the most recognized names in the country, supplying a massive share of what ends up on grocery shelves. The tell here is the chiller tank. After slaughter, birds go into a giant communal water bath with thousands of others, all soaking together, all absorbing water in the process. The bird that comes out is heavier than the bird that went in, and the USDA allows that added water to count toward the net weight on the label. You're paying chicken price for water weight. And this isn't a fringe concern. The European Union has restricted this exact practice for its own producers since the late 1990s, specifically over sanitation standards, on the reasoning that if a bird needs a chemical bath to be considered safe, the problem started long before that bath. Number 5, Perdue Farms. This brand has spent years building an identity around words like humanely raised, no antibiotics ever, and vegetarian fed. And it works. You see the Perdue logo in the refrigerated aisle, and your brain reads it as the safer choice, the anti-Tyson, the option your more health-conscious friend would reach for. But pull the bird out and read the fine print. Perdue has faced multiple class action lawsuits specifically challenging how those welfare claims are defined, with plaintiffs arguing the marketing on the front of the package runs well ahead of the actual farming practice behind it. And here's the part that matters most. Underneath all of that messaging, Perdue uses the exact same communal chiller tank process as the budget brands sitting right next to it on the shelf. Same water bath, same absorbed weight, same addition to the price you're paying, just wrapped in a much more reassuring story. Number 4, Foster Farms. If you live anywhere between San Diego and Seattle, you've almost certainly eaten this brand. It's the dominant fresh chicken supplier across the entire West Coast. It's also at the center of one of the larger poultry-linked outbreaks in recent U.S. history. Starting in 2013, the CDC tracked a multi-state outbreak of Salmonella Heidelberg traced directly back to Foster Farms chicken. By the time it was officially closed out, the CDC's final report confirmed 634 cases across 29 states, with a meaningful share of those patients hospitalized. This wasn't a rumor or a single bad batch. It's documented public record, tracked case by case, state by state, over more than a year. Number 3, Pilgrim's Pride Corporation. You'll almost never see this name on a package at your grocery store, and that's exactly the problem. Pilgrim's Pride is a massive supplier that sells directly to other brands, restaurant chains, food service distributors, and school lunch programs. If you've eaten chicken in America, there's a real chance you've eaten Pilgrim's Pride without ever seeing the name. In 2020, the company pleaded guilty in federal court to a conspiracy to fix prices and rig bids on broiler chicken products, a case that had been building for years, tied to contracts going back as far as 2012. The Department of Justice's plea agreement covered chicken sold to restaurants, grocery chains, and food service programs, and Pilgrim's Pride ultimately paid roughly $107 million in criminal fines. That's not a rumor or a civil dispute. It's a guilty plea, on record, in a federal courtroom. And it means school districts negotiating chicken contracts during that window may have been bidding against prices that were never actually competitive to begin with. Number 2, Costco and Kroger rotisserie chicken. This one stings a little, because the rotisserie bird is supposed to be the easy win, the cheat code. You walk in, grab it, bring it home, everyone eats, nobody has to think about it. Costco's version is so famous at $4.99 that the company has publicly said it's willing to lose money on it just to bring people through the door. That's the level of trust this product has built. Now flip the package around and actually read it. Whole chicken, water, salt, sodium phosphates, modified cornstarch, and several other additives beyond just the bird itself. That's not a chicken, that's a chicken with a recipe added to it. The bird is injected with that solution before it ever hits the rotisserie, which is exactly why the meat pulls so cleanly off the bone and the skin looks so evenly golden. That's not cooking skill. That's sodium phosphate pulling moisture into the muscle and holding it there. This has become enough of an issue that it's now the subject of an active class action lawsuit, with plaintiffs alleging the no preservatives marketing doesn't line up with additives that functionally act as preservatives. The chicken itself isn't the problem is the recipe nobody asked for, and the fact that a real portion of that weight you're paying chicken price for is injected solution. Number 1, Wayne Sanderson Farms, and this is the one that matters most on this entire list. For years, while every other brand here was quietly walking back its antibiotic use to keep pace with changing standards, Sanderson Farms did the opposite, running full-page industry ads telling the public, in plain language, that antibiotic use in poultry wasn't the problem people made it out to be. They said it publicly. They said it in print. They doubled down while the rest of the industry moved on. Then, in 2022, the Department of Justice announced a settlement with Sanderson Farms, by then merging into Wayne Sanderson Farms, over how the company handled pay and contracting practices for the farmers who actually raise its chickens. That settlement valued worker and grower restitution at roughly $85 million, and came with a court-appointed monitor overseeing the company going forward. That same year, the merger was finalized, instantly making Wayne Sanderson Farms one of the 3 largest poultry producers in the entire country. The brand that spent years loudest defending the old way of doing things is now bigger than it has ever been, restitution, monitor, and all. The 30-second test before we get to the 4 that actually passed. Here's a fast, practical test you can run in your own kitchen tonight. Takes about 30 seconds. First, the label scan. Look for the word solution anywhere in the ingredients. If it's there, the bird was dropped into a communal water bath before packaging. That's added weight, and you're paying chicken price for it. Second, the press test. Take the fillet out and press it with your thumb. If it feels rock hard, almost like dense foam, that's woody breast. If you see thin white lines running parallel through the muscle, that's white striping. Both are documented tissue damage, not just texture. And third, check what's actually backing up the claim on the front. Natural, with no certifier listed anywhere on the package, is marketing. Nothing more. A real USDA process-verified label is an actual audited claim, Two very different things wearing similar language. 30 seconds, 3 checks, and you'll know more about that bird than most of what's printed on the front of the bag. The 4 that passed. Smart Chicken Organic. Family run out of Nebraska, and everything about the process runs in the opposite direction of what we just covered. USDA organic certified, independently audited, not self-reported. Each bird is individually air-chilled, cooled with cold air instead of dropped into a communal water bath, so there's no added water hiding in that net weight you're paying for. Flip the bag over and the ingredient list is one word: chicken. Mary's free-range chicken. This one comes from a family that's raised poultry across multiple generations, and it shows in how the birds are actually kept. Mobile coops moved regularly to fresh pasture instead of staying fixed in one place. That rotation matters more than it sounds like it should. Fresh ground means better conditions for the birds, and naturally distributed fertilization for the land, rather than waste concentrating in one spot. Bell and Evans. Family-owned since 1894, over a century of the same operation. Single ingredient label, air-chilled process, and a company that's been publicly and openly critical of the chiller tank standard for over a decade, long before it became a talking point. Pasture bird. True rotational pasture farming, verified through an actual USDA process-verified program rather than a self-applied label. Here's the number that actually sets it apart. Pasturebird's pasture-raised standard requires at least 108 square feet of outdoor space per bird. Compare that to a standard commercial broiler barn, where typical stocking density runs somewhere around 0.7 square feet per bird, roughly the size of a single sheet of paper for a fully grown animal. That's not a rounding difference, that's over 150 times more space, and it's a number Pasturebird actually publishes instead of hiding behind a vague marketing range. None of what we just covered required anyone to break a law. Every brand on that skip list operated entirely within the rules, which is exactly what makes it worth knowing. The label was never going to protect you on its own. It was just going to sit there, technically accurate, saying as little as it legally could. A few seconds of actually reading it changes that. Check for solution. Press the fillet. Look for a real certification instead of a comforting word. That's the whole difference between paying chicken price for chicken and paying chicken price for added water and a good story. If this saved you from grabbing the wrong bag tonight, a like helps other shoppers find it too, and subscribing means you won't miss the next quick frugal breakdown. Shop smarter. Waste less. Save more. See you in the next one.